So this is the second Netflix original series that is wrestling related that I've watched. And one is clearly better than the other. I think you can guess which one's which. Well, it's The Big Show. A sitcom about former WWE wrestler Big Show moving back home to Tampa, Florida to live with his wife and 3 kids. Show basically covers the Big Show adapting to life at home after being on the road for so long. Like his career, God, he's been wrestling since like the 90s, so he's been on the road for a while. Kind of wonder how he had time to pump out 3 kids, but he did. 2 of which are with his current wife, the one that's in the show, and 1 is from a prior relationship. And of course, whenever Big Show comes back home, his daughter from Minnesota decides to move in with them as well. And chaos ensues. Can the Big Show handle life at home compared to life in the ring? If you like this kind of cheesy humor, you might like the show. So first thing I gotta kind of applaud the show for is, yes, there's a laugh track. Yes, I hate laugh tracks like everyone else. Thing is, this show uses them very conservatively. Like, not every joke has a laugh track attached to it, and they only use the aww things when they really have to, which honestly there's only one time in the show where I actually felt aww. So like the 5 other times they used it, I just wanted to go aww. Also, the Big Show is surprisingly good in this. Like, I find his comedic timing is nice. The way he interacts with other characters, like, feels like he has chemistry with everyone he talks to. Like, the Big Show is surprisingly good. Like, when you think of the Big Show, I'm flabbergasted because I don't think sitcom. I think like he's like the host of a reality show or something, you know? Kind of like how former wrestler Christian, he was in reality of Night Fight, or yeah, I think it's what's called Night Fight on History. I have to look that up. Also, unfortunately, Christian's from Florida and he doesn't make a cameo. Bums. But no, the Big Show's good. Probably the best character in the show, which is good because he's the main character. When it comes to comedy in the show, honestly, episode 4 on made me laugh. There's a few times I laughed out loud, which after watching the first 3 episodes, I didn't think I'd be doing at all, but I did. The wrestling references are there. I don't think they go... There's not a lot of wrestling references. I'll get into that later, but there's some cameos that are really nice to see. It's like, oh, these guys are here. If you guys are wondering, episode 6 is the wrestler cameo episode, so if you want to just skip to that to see cameos, episode 6. And it does kind of stomp on one of the sitcom tropes that drives me crazy. Like, How I Met Your Mother is really guilty for this. Is that, like, keep in mind this is only an 8-episode show, and I'm comparing it to How I Met Your Mother had like 8-9 seasons. But one thing that I find sitcoms do that drives me crazy is that stuff that happens in one episode that you think is semi-important and should carry over to the rest of the season, or at least to some episodes in the near future, don't. This show, when things happen, they affect the other episodes, which is nice to see. And that's where my compliments of the show end. You see, the show has a lot wrong with it. The first thing I gotta really point out is that I don't know who the show is for. Like, it's not for hardcore wrestling fans, because again, there's not really a lot of wrestling references, and the ones that are there are very weak. Like, for example, in the first episode, not small, I'm gonna spoil a joke, but there's a joke where a cop recognizes Big Show, and he's all like, "Oh my God, you're the WWE guy, right?" "Yes, I am." "You're John Cena." John Cena. They look nothing alike. And the Big Show's like, "No, I'm the Big Show." Cop's like, "Oh my God, I'm your biggest fan." Clearly you're f***ing not. Clearly you're not. I mean, there was a gag with them immediately after that I found kind of funny. But still, like, there's stuff like that where it's like, they don't, again, if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, I don't think this is for you. A lot of the jokes they make are for maybe the more casual audience. I would even argue that this show is targeted towards a younger audience. Like, I feel like a lot of the humor, especially with Big Show's kids, and I'm gonna get to them, especially in Big Show's kids, a lot of the humor is focused towards a younger demographic. Kind of like similar to like back in the day, like the old Disney Channel shows, like That's So Raven and whatnot, like kind of like that. Which is weird because they're using the Big Show as the main character. I mean, I get it. he's relevant enough in wrestling that kids might recognize him, but he hasn't been active enough in the last few years to really be like an 8, 9, 10, 11, even 12-year-old would really, they might recognize him, but they're not gonna see the Big Show on Netflix and be like, that's the Big Show, I need to watch this. Like, if you're gonna do that with anyone, it'd be like John Cena. Like, so on that end, I don't get it either, which kind of confuses me. Like, I don't know who this show's for. I really don't. Now, other than having a 7-foot former wrestler in the show and kind of having the plot revolve around his somewhat of his former wrestling career and adapting to life, the show hits a lot of sitcom cliches. And I'm not just talking about laugh track. Now I need to start by saying I'm not the biggest fan of sitcoms. Only two I really can stomach is How I Met Your Mother and Modern Family. And that's in moderation. I don't think either of them are like amazing must-watch shows. That being said, there's a lot of cliches. Like, you can basically watch an episode, the first 5 minutes in, you'll know, well, not even that, like 2-3 minutes in, you'll find out, oh, so that's the trope they're going with. They're going with the tried and tested, like, dad can take care of the house. Oh, no, he can't. Or, oh, I'm the dad. I'm going to teach my daughter's boyfriend to respect her boundaries. Like, stuff like that. Like, very predictable stuff. And speaking of predictable, the Big Show's daughters make the show almost unwatchable. Episode 3, I almost dropped it. I only dropped it because I need content for this YouTube channel. That's the only reason I continued it. Like, so let's just run through them. You have the youngest one, who is the stereotypical, like, youngish, oh, she's a sweetheart. No, she's actually the devil. She's the devil, which is cliche. We've seen that, like, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, oddly enough. But it's always like the youngest child is like the devil of the family. She's a gambler. The lot of jokes she makes about gambling, hacking, because every show needs a hacker. So she's the most annoying of the three. You have the middle one, who just has one tone. She talks one tone the whole show. I hope you like this tone. She gets a fair amount of screen time. I hope you can handle this. Then you have the older one, who's just like, she basically just complains. That's her whole character. I mean, some stuff you can be like, yeah, you know what? The fact that you move in with your dad and he wants to leave immediately, yeah, that's, complain about that. But a lot of stuff, like, she just whines about everything. That's her character. She does have a couple good, like, of the three, she's probably the most, like, she gets the most screen time. She's also the most bearable. But that's like saying, oh, I have 3 ulcers, but the one further back is a little more comfortable. Like, they're terrible. The Big Show's wife from the show is kind of like, she's there. She's not the worst thing about the show. But she again falls into the cliche of talking in one tone, because this is a sitcom. You can't show your acting chops in a sitcom. One tone, all the side characters are the same. The Big Show's the only character I really care about in any facet, which I guess is a good thing considering he's the main character of the show, so truly is the Big Show show. In conclusion, this show is not for wrestling fans. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's for a younger audience, which means that I'm just a bitter old man complaining about a kid's show. But it doesn't even feel like the writer or director even watched wrestling. They're just given the gig and like, okay, I know they slam people, let's see what we can come up with. But anyway, regardless of all that, my final takeaway from this show is I would like to see the Big Show in another sitcom. Maybe as a side character, as compared to a main character. In a show that doesn't have an over-tested, cheesy script where it seems like they just needed someone famous, maybe an athlete, maybe a pro wrestler, to come in, plop in the middle of that script. That way they can get it. That way they can get it shot and put on Netflix. Because that's what the show is. It feels like they used the Big Show's name to get put on television. Kind of like how I'm using the show to get people to watch my YouTube channel.